Personal boundaries. Recommendations. Voices of the problem. I am an established adult and my mom still tells me what to do and how to do it, so I am constantly stressed out by our encounters. The situation of an adult facing excessive parental control is common. Parents who are used to taking care of their children may not realize that their behavior violates personal boundaries. This creates constant tension and can lead to conflict. It is important to learn how to assert your boundaries by clearly explaining that such interventions are unacceptable and why they cause discomfort. Open dialogue and understanding can help alleviate these problems by establishing new rules for interaction. Got married and it's like I'm in prison because you can't do anything without your husband's advice. I can't even dress the way I like, and I'm not even talking about the way he does his makeup. Is it possible to live with him? In marriage, it is important to maintain personal space and freedom of choice. When one partner begins to control every aspect of the other's life, it leads to feelings of overwhelm and loss of identity. Gradually enforcing personal boundaries, starting with small steps such as clothing choices or ways of spending free time, can help restore balance to the relationship. It is important to discuss these issues with your partner so that they understand the importance of personal freedom for a healthy relationship. My son does the opposite of whatever I tell him, and after all, I gave birth to him. He's still 17 and I have to control him. Adolescence is a time when children strive for independence, which often leads to conflict with parents. Parents who want to control every move may encounter resistance. It is important to find a balance between controlling and allowing freedom, allowing the teen to make his or her own decisions and learn from mistakes. Dialogue and respect for the teen's personal boundaries can build trust and understanding within the family. Personal boundaries are a person's criteria that he or she feels as a comfort zone, which applies to all areas of his or her life, from external image to the daily routine, food preferences and hobbies, self-expression in words and actions, rituals in interaction and communication. Naturally, everyone should have them in order to feel freedom, and thus the joy of life. Personal boundaries help a person to preserve inner harmony and prevent emotional burnout. For example, boundaries may concern who can call you and when, how and with whom you spend your time. They may include rules about how and when you can be available for work or personal business. These boundaries help a person manage their time and resources, balancing their personal and professional life. It is important that a person feels comfortable and safe following their principles and beliefs. In doing so, it is important to remember you have every right to them as do other people. No person should suppress another. This is the norm of human community. Respect for personal boundaries is the foundation of healthy relationships. When boundaries are not respected, conflicts and misunderstandings arise. For example, invading personal space without permission or pressuring a person to change their opinion or behavior can lead to stress and anxiety. Learning to recognize and respect each other's boundaries is an important step to building trusting and harmonious relationships. Recommendations. 1. Diagnosis. Take a piece of paper and write down specific rules, comfort criteria, how you can and cannot be with you. You can use specific examples from life. It is best if it will be a table format, which will allow you to define a separate column for each person with whom you interact more often, and to put plus or dash on the result of the analysis of compliance or violation of boundaries. This will illuminate the ways of working out with individual people to a greater extent. This method helps to visualize and concretize personal boundaries, making them more tangible. For example, in one column you might indicate that you feel comfortable when your coworkers give advance notice of meetings, and in another column you might indicate that you feel uncomfortable when someone shows up unannounced. This exercise helps you recognize which boundaries are being violated and plan steps to protect them. Point 2. Testing. Close your eyes and trace the identified rules for comfort. To do this, imagine that this is how you live and communicate. What is going on in your thoughts? What feelings are you experiencing? What body reactions do you feel? If the visualization is dominated by rejection or awkwardness, irritation or fear, go back to the first point and make adjustments. If everything is fine, go on to realize the next point. This technique helps to make sure that the boundaries you choose are really in line with your inner needs and values. For example, if you imagine saying no to a party invitation and you feel relieved, then that boundary is important to you. If, on the other hand, you feel anxious or uncomfortable, it may be worth revisiting your criteria. Validation helps build confidence in your decisions and helps you take the first step toward realizing them. Point 3. Adoption: implementing rules by trial and error to build skills. And then skills. There are no mistakes. Mistakes are the experience of positioning yourself in your new status as a free individual. This is the only way you can move from theory to the practice of natural application. Do not forget to praise yourself for successes. You can start with small steps, for example, setting boundaries in communication with colleagues or family members. Gradually, as you gain confidence, you can expand these boundaries to other aspects of life. It is important to remember that mistakes along the way are inevitable and are part of the learning process. Every success, even the smallest, should be celebrated and rewarded, which will help build confidence. Point 4. Responsibility: remember that if you have launched a new challenge, you alone are responsible for its implementation, for slip-ups and corrections. This is normal as you begin a full and natural life in adulthood, as only psychologically immature people tolerate everything and everyone, afraid to prioritize acceptable contact. Taking responsibility for one's boundaries includes the ability to say no and stand your ground, even if it causes temporary discomfort or conflict. For example, if you decide that you will no longer work on weekends, you need to consistently stick to that rule, even if your boss or coworkers are unhappy. Responsibility also includes a willingness to adjust your boundaries as needed to accommodate changes in life and circumstances. Point 5. Outlining: speak in concrete phrases and sentences, not by hints or silence, insults or avoidance, that to you this or that action of the opponent interlocutor does not suit you, is unacceptable. This way you can, and this way you cannot. People around you do not understand the measure of your comfort without you. It is necessary to help them delicately and with dignity to yourself and these people. For example, if you don't like it when someone enters your room without knocking, explain it directly. It's important to me that you knock before entering my room. This helps avoid misunderstandings and conflict. It is important to be specific and clear in your language, so that the other person understands exactly what is causing the discomfort and how it can be corrected. Being clear and direct in your communication helps establish and maintain healthy boundaries. Point 6. Mutuality: remember that you live equally with others in the world. All rights are equal. There is no one better or worse than anyone else. There are only your own people in terms of outlook and worldview and others. Therefore, it is important to be respectful of others' boundaries as well. However, if the interlocutor scoffs, devalues, goes to the break in this matter, then it is time to understand whether you are on the way with him in the future. Respecting other people's boundaries is just as important as protecting your own. For example, if a coworker asks not to be disturbed during your lunch break, respect that request. Mutual respect fosters a harmonious and productive environment. If someone repeatedly violates your boundaries, it's important to make a decision about how to continue interacting with that person, perhaps by limiting contact or renegotiating the terms of communication. Thanks for listening. Be sure to share your opinion in the comments. Feedback is important to me. Don't forget to support the video with a like and subscribe.